why I tell men, just focus on yourself. Okay,
100%.
just focus, guys,
Get
focus
that
on yourself
money.
because you will never, ever, ever be able to understand the psychology of a woman.
No.
Because as a guy, right? Does that make sense to us?
Yeah, it does.
Does that make sense? Like, but because as a man, if we say we want X, Y, and Z, that means we want X, Y, and Z, right?
We go for it.
Yeah, I mean, a woman will say they want X, Y, and Z, but if you give them X, Y, and Z, they're like,
no.
I don't know if I want that. It's like, but you said you wanted it.
I'm sure you've noticed a fascinating shift taking place in the world today. Events are taking place that, before the advent of online political correctness, would have been unthinkable, but which are now actually taking place. There was a time when talking about taking the red pill was seen as illegal, but that seems to have changed, as evidenced by Andrew Tate's meteoric rise to fame. It's clear that a large number of dudes are into the message and agree with its sentiments. A dedicated following of this size is not created out of thin air. Rather, it grows from within with the help of an already established movement. By God's grace, the number of people who have taken the red pill is already in the millions. It appears that Andrew Tate is no longer a lone voice in calling attention to the gender divide. Other men, including Mgtow and Hamza, and a sizable portion of the gurus, are speaking out as well. As another way of putting it, it's not the same as it was in the past because we now have ideas that ancient sages would never have considered.
Topic for this week: why are men going their own way? So I was going to give you guys an explanation of why men are going their own way, but I found this video of this woman who had a great breakdown of why men are going their own way, so I'm gonna let her take it away.
People don't go where they're unwanted, and everybody always puts the blame and shame on men for everything that has gone wrong in society. A woman wants a man who is emotionally available and sensitive, but if a man expresses his sensitivity, he is told that he has a fragile ego. If a man wants to defend himself against a woman, she will shame him into being quiet by saying he's either too aggressive or he has toxic masculinity. If a woman says something offensive, she is protected. If a man says something...
Anyways, whether you agree or disagree, I invite you for this week's live show. We have a great panel. See you guys.
Red pill ideology has been picked up by the internet and spread like wildfire in recent years, and a growing number of men are adopting its tenets. For the benefit of newcomers and people who only casually follow the cause, I will go over the reasons why the red pill movement has been so popular around the world. If you have taken the red pill before, you know that this outcome was predetermined. The first is an argument I've never heard anyone else make before, but I can see how it could be valid. The red pill was once something you could only find in obscure corners of the internet because it was primarily a Western movement. Now that internet access is more widespread, however, men from all walks of life are beginning to take notice of the red pill. Although only the privileged few in non-Western countries could previously afford to buy a computer or a phone, I believe that these innovations have been of immense help to the red pill movement that has emerged in the new millennium. More and more men from all walks of life are joining us because they can relate to the movement's goals and ideals because they, too, did not grow up in a family of wealth and privilege. This, coupled with the fact that, on average, people in developing nations are less feminist crazy than those living in developed nations, suggests that they are likely to agree with the message that we are trying to convey. The persuasive power of the red pill's message, however, will remain the underlying factor behind its widespread acceptance even if we ignore this factor. This is a movement that has its feet firmly planted in the real world. It is based on extensive research in the field, as well as recent discoveries in evolutionary biology and the nature of the human experience. This detailed guide will make perfect sense to a good number of men. Nothing about this can be compared to the feminist or trans rights movements, or any of the other contemporary political currents that have emerged in the last few decades. This must be the case because logic demands it. It isn't trying to lead us toward a destination that goes against our basic nature as a species, and it is accessible enough to the general public that it may shed light on why so many social and cultural movements in today's world are centered on women and girls. Watching television, playing video games, or reading a book are all good ways to pass the time, But even in the activities that men have developed specifically for themselves, women have traditionally held the majority of leadership roles, and there is no trace of masculinity there. There is nothing inherently wrong with these, but they are not intended for male use. As a general rule, men did not devote all of their free time to such pursuits. Men are recognized for their bravery and teamwork skills, and they have an insatiable desire to construct vast empires. You won't find any lone men who can serve as a straightforward example of macho power almost anywhere you go. These are fundamental aspects of society that are currently lacking in our environment. Your grandfather was probably just another man walking the streets of whatever town you visited, despite the fact that his advice should have carried more weight because he was older and had seen and done more in his time. Absolutely none of the classrooms had such instructors. There is almost no effort made to aid young men in their transition from boy to man, and on the left, you have intellectual counselors and physical education teachers who, when they're not spending all day reading or writing papers, are unable to run a mile. There are a lot of elderly males who seem to be lost and wandering around, and there are some men who are stuck in relationships they no longer want to be in. So mentoring younger guys can be just as educational for them as it is for them. The men who have seen the world as it is, who know what women are like in today's society and the legal system, and who wanted to share this knowledge with younger men do so here at Red Pill Providers, the center of attention for all men going through toxic and useless relationships. We hope, however, those younger men will discover and embrace their own masculinity. Every young man secretly wants this, but very few actually know how to get it. Despite being told that being aggressive and sexually confident in today's culture is harmful, he still longs for a safe space where he can show these traits. If he takes the red pill, he will gain the skills he needs to finish the job, and he will be more likely to take care of himself by making positive lifestyle changes like starting an exercise routine that includes lifting weights. Men will be aware that they have more important things to do than waste time staring at women. Instead, they should concentrate on the tasks at hand. Only then will they be prepared to learn the truth. It is an honor for a man to continue his lineage, and that is why the exhibition of dominant traits, through which he can produce his offspring, is really important. And that is why Red Pill is the most convenient source to train yourself and transition from a boy to a man, or must I say, from a beta male to a Mgtow man. Therefore, the Red Pill is the most civilized way of living. That's it for today's video. We'll meet tomorrow. Till then, keep taking your daily dose of Red Pill.